We're kicking off the new year in style. Terrible style. Here are 19 reasons to watch The Mangler. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is a place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. And as I've been doing for a year now, I'm working my way through the adaptations, the movies, the miniseries, all of that kind of stuff in chronological order. And we've made it up to 1995, which means we've hit The Mangler, which means this is going to be a pretty rough video, okay? We'll get on to 19 reasons to watch The Mangler, but first just a quick reminder that there's lots of other things that I'm involved with in the description, basically my quiz book, my fiction, my newsletter, other ways in which you can support me if you want to. Do check out those links if you're interested. But otherwise, let's crack on with The Mangler, shall we? So as I said, we're in 1995, and this is the first of 3 King adaptations from that year. And this one, The Mangler, Tobe Hooper directing, starring Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund, as the lead villain, based on a story with the same name that was collected in Night Shift. I mean, this should be a home run, right? So as ever with these videos, any spoilery reasons, any reasons that might ruin a first time watch will be clustered towards the end of the list, and I'll give you a spoiler alert before they come, so you can definitely watch at least some of these reasons, and then you can bail if you need to, and you can just skip ahead to the outro using the timestamp in the description. When it comes to watching The Mangler, as far as I can tell, it's on YouTube for buying or renting. Yes, you're probably going to have to pay money for this, unless you find it illegally on YouTube, but I wouldn't advocate that anyway. Although, I also wouldn't necessarily advocate paying for The Mangler. I'm rambling now. Shall we get into it? Cool. Here are 19 reasons to watch The Mangler. So my headline reason to watch this. Not gonna lie, this is a tough sell. And it's kind of frustrating because there's so many things that you can actually tick off here. All the main beats of the story, which is a pretty good story, get checked off. We've obviously got Tobe Hooper, Robert Englund. We've also got Ted Levine from Silence of the Lambs. You know, pretty decent cast, and yet it just doesn't hit at all. Bad script, bad acting, bad lighting, bad soundtrack, just bad movie, really. So Robert Englund's character, the factory owner Bill Gartley, is an interesting addition here because that character never really appears on page in the story. And yeah, I get why he's in the movie. You've got Freddy Krueger, let's use him. But his time on screen just doesn't really feel like it adds much value. And that's why it's frustrating. You've got this master of horror, and you're wasting him. I think Englund's lack of a fear factor isn't helped by the fact his character is just hobbling around on crutches all the time. Now, I assume it was done to make him look sinister and mysterious and menacing, but he just comes across as annoying. So what's the hook of this one? Well, it's a possessed piece of machinery. Simple as that. There's a massive mangler in a factory. It's the giant machine that folds and presses sheets. It gets a taste for blood, specifically the blood of a virginal woman, obviously, which she's cutting her hand while trying to operate a lever. She spills blood onto his belt. And then he starts trying to kill people. I say he, the machine starts trying to kill people quite violently, quite gorily. And our hero has to team up with his spiritualist demon expert brother-in-law to try and work out what's possessed this machine and how in the hell they can banish it. Thing is though, you then have this dilemma of whether the factory owner is going to let them do that or whether he's got a more sinister motive behind his plans as well. I mean, you can guess how that pans out, right? Oh, and the Mangler also manages to curse an old icebox that it happens to come into contact with, which is really fucking dumb, but does help tick off another part of the story. So I guess I'll let it pass. So let's talk about the cast. I've already talked about Robert Englund and how disappointing his performance is, and it's the same with Ted Levine, really. Like a really uninspired, phoned in, lethargic performance that just gives this impression of an unlikable character. An asshole, really.
That's Officer Asshole to you.
But Daniel Matmore as Mark Jackson is fine for this type of character, even if he does look a bit like Paul McCartney, and I find that just incredibly annoying. I say he's fine up until the point where he asks if the yogurt is whole wheat.
Hey, you want some yogurt? I got some yogurt.
Is it whole wheat?
Like, what?
Is it whole wheat?
There isn't any wheat in yogurt. What?
Is it whole wheat?
So we also had this on-screen only character, as in wasn't in the story, of JJJ Pictureman, who is a crime scene photographer, obviously, played by Jeremy Crutchley, who is just this creepy, sinister guy who also acts as this weird, sort of useful savant who's actually a friend of Ted Levine's. And he's kind of a confusing character. I like him as a character, sort of, but also this movie is, I think, set in 1995. There's scenes where we see characters with a computer, and yet this photographer has a camera from the 40s. Like, I don't understand it. Oh, also Jeremy Crutchley, in addition to that, plays the weirdo mortician for seemingly no reason whatsoever. So lastly, before spoilers, I think the main issue with this one, aside from it being, well, not very good, is that it is too long. Now, normally I'm a big fan of a King short story getting the full length treatment. Like, it usually works. But this one is 106 minutes long, which for me is like 20 minutes overdone. It needs to be leaner, it needs to be meaner, and it needs to knuckle down on the gore, because for all that this film is bad, the gore is excellent, and it just needed more of it. Okay, from this point in, potentially things that might ruin a first time watch, so talking about favourite scenes, favourite lines, similarities to the story, etc. So consider this your spoiler alert. If you want to bail here, please do bail, either leave completely or just use the timestamp below to skip out to the outro and come and say bye with me. But otherwise stick around, because I've got a few more reasons for you to watch The Mangler coming right up. So as I've already mentioned, this is a pretty faithful adaptation of the story. It does check off all the main points, aside from the shoehorned in Robert Englund character. The story is definitely stronger, especially the ending, but you know, there's no denying that all the major beats are at least addressed in this movie. Now, there are a few moments worth shouting out here for good and admittedly mainly bad reasons. Let's start off with the quite hilarious scene where the guy's got his arm stuck in the mangler and he's trying to get a colleague to chop his arm off with an axe. This scene should be like the height of tension and fear, and yet just comes across as this just stupid parody.
Do it! Do it!
Yeah, do it!
I can! Do it!
Do it! Do it!
Do it!
Actually, wait a minute.
Oh Christ, I can't, George! Do it! Ah, do it! Do it! Do it!
Oh, no.
Do it! Do it!
Oh. Now, the blood cough onto the camera from the Pictureman character. That bit, genuinely cool. But my favourite moment of this movie is the gore of the first kill, and particularly the aftermath where you see what the Mangler has done to that poor woman. It is disgusting and brilliant. As for my favourite line, well, some honourable mentions again. We've got Robert Englund giving a very great delivery of piss off.
Piss off!
And we've got the academic saying that he thinks they may be fucked.
I think we may be fucked.
But my winner is Officer Hunton telling Robert Englund exactly where he'd like to put those crutches.
Go on, threaten me. I'll shove them crutches up your moldy ass, you fucking clown.
Not much in the way of links to other King works here. Obviously, the short story. We've got Tobe Hooper, who directed the 1979 Salem's Lot miniseries. But other than that, I got nothing. So to finish, something truly scary and horrendously terrifying about 1995's The Mangler. Get ready. It spawned not one, but 2 sequels. No, I don't know why, but I'm sure I'll get there eventually. Okay, there we go. Those are my 19 reasons for you to watch The Mangler. Let me know what you think of this one in the comments. Have you seen this? Have you watched it recently? This was a first time watch for me. So yeah, that was fun. Anyway, let me know what you think of The Mangler. Do you prefer the story? Do you like this movie? Have you seen the sequels? All of that stuff. Get in touch. And of course, look in the description for links to my quiz book, to my fiction, newsletter, all of those kind of things. Other ways in which you can support me if you feel like it. But just you being here and watching this is absolutely plenty. And do come back next time, because unlike this video, we're going to be talking about a movie that is genuinely wonderful.